Hi there. Welcome back to our next session on Java JDBC. In this session we will learn about Java JDBC, types of driver, JDBC APIs, transaction management, and many other topics with lab session on creating JDBC program. We will learn about managing your database from Java program. Java JDBC is a Java API to connect and execute query with the database. JDBC API uses JDBC drivers to connect with the database. You can see the diagram that describes the JDBC API. Let's understand how JDBC works. Before JDBC, ODBC API was the database API to connect and execute query with the database. But, ODBC API uses ODBC Driver, which is written in C language, that is, platform dependent and unsecured. That is why Java has defined its own API, JDBC API, that uses JDBC drivers that are written in Java language. Now let's know about JDBC drivers. JDBC Driver is a software component that enables Java application to interact with the database. There are 4 types of JDBC drivers. JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver, Native API Driver, partially Java Driver, Network Protocol Driver, fully Java Driver, and Thin Driver, fully Java Driver. Now we will define each type in details with its diagram. JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver. The JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver uses ODBC Driver to connect to the database. The JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver converts JDBC method calls into the ODBC function calls. This is now discouraged because of Thin Driver. See the diagram. Advantage of using JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver are easy to use and can be easily connected to any database. And the disadvantage of JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver are performance degraded because JDBC method call is converted into the ODBC function calls, and the ODBC driver needs to be installed on the client machine. Native API Driver. The native API driver uses the client-side libraries of the database. The driver converts JDBC method calls into native calls of the database API. It is not written entirely in Java. See the diagram. Advantage: performance upgraded than JDBC-ODBC Bridge Driver. Disadvantage: the native driver needs to be installed on each client machine. The vendor client library needs to be installed on client machine. Network Protocol Driver. The Network Protocol Driver uses middleware, application server, that converts JDBC calls directly or indirectly into the vendor-specific database protocol. It is fully written in Java. See the diagram. Advantage: no client-side library is required because of application server that can perform many tasks like auditing, load balancing, logging, etc. Disadvantages: network support is required on client machine. Requires database-specific coding to be done in the middle tier. Maintenance of Network Protocol Driver becomes costly because it requires database-specific coding to be done in the middle tier. Thin Driver. The Thin Driver converts JDBC calls directly into the vendor-specific database protocol. That is why it is known as Thin Driver. It is fully written in Java language. See the diagram. Advantage: better performance than all other drivers. No software is required at client side or server side. Disadvantage: drivers depends on the database. Now let's talk about creating connection with database using JDBC API. There are 5 steps to connect any Java application with the database in Java using JDBC. They are as follows. Register the driver class. Creating connection. Creating statement. Executing queries, and closing connection. Let's understand it with an example. I am showing you a program that defines all the stated steps. Watch it carefully. Register the driver class. The for name method of class is used to register the driver class. This method is used to dynamically load the driver class. Creating connection. The getConnection method of driver manager class is used to establish connection with the database. Creating statement. The createStatement method of connection interface is used to create statement. The object of statement is responsible to execute queries with the database. Executing queries. The executeQuery method of statement interface is used to execute queries to the database. This method returns the object of result set that can be used to get all the records of a table. Closing connection. By closing connection, object statement and result set will be closed automatically. The close method of connection interface is used to close the connection. Make sure you have created a table for using in this example. The port number specified in the example may vary in your system, so make sure you put your own into it. I will show an example in my SQL database. There is not much difference in both, only class name and database URL changes, rest are same. You do it and try to figure it out. See the example carefully. Now let's talk about the terms used in the program. First of all, let's discuss Driver Manager. The Driver Manager class acts as an interface between user and drivers. It keeps track of the drivers that are available and handles establishing a connection between a database and the appropriate driver. The Driver Manager class maintains a list of driver classes that have registered themselves by calling the method driverManager.registerDriver. Now let's see connection interface. A connection is the session between Java application and database. The connection interface is a factory of statement, prepared statement, and database metadata, that is, object of connection can be used to get the object of statement and database metadata. The connection interface provide many methods for transaction management like commit, rollback, etc. By default, connection commits the changes after executing queries. Statement interface. The statement interface provides methods to execute queries with the database. The statement interface is a factory of result set, that is, it provides factory method to get the object of result set. See the example on your screen. Commonly used methods of statement interface. The important methods of statement interface are as follows. Public result set executeQuery, string SQL is used to execute select query. It returns the object of result set. Public int execute update, string SQL is used to execute specified query. It may be create, drop, insert, update, delete, etc. Public boolean execute, string SQL is used to execute queries that may return multiple results. Public int execute batch is used to execute batch of commands. Result set interface. The object of result set maintains a cursor pointing to a row of a table. Initially, cursor points to before the first row. By default, result set object can be moved forward only and it is not updatable. See the example and try to do it with the video. You can do in any database, MySQL, or Oracle. Now let's talk about prepared statement interface. The prepared statement interface is a sub-interface of statement. It is used to execute parameterized query. See the example. The performance of the application will be faster if you use prepared statement interface because query is compiled only once. Java result set metadata interface. The metadata means data about data, i.e. we can get further information from the data. If you have to get metadata of a table like total number of column, column name, column type, etc., result set metadata interface is useful because it provides methods to get metadata from the result set object. Write down the program shown on your screen. Java Database Metadata Interface. Database Metadata Interface provides methods to get metadata of a database such as database product name, database product version, driver name, name of total number of tables, name of total number of views, etc. Follow the example. The getMetadata method of connection interface returns the object of database metadata. Java Callable Statement Interface. Callable Statement Interface is used to call the stored procedures and functions. We can have business logic on the database by the use of stored procedures and functions that will make the performance better because these are pre-compiled. See the example. Suppose you need to get the age of the employee based on the date of birth. You may create a function that receives date as the input and returns age of the employee as the output. Now let's discuss transaction management in JDBC. Transaction represents a single unit of work. The ACID properties describes the transaction management well. ACID stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Atomicity means either all successful or none. Consistency ensures bringing the database from one consistent state to another consistent state. Isolation ensures that transaction is isolated from other transaction. Durability means once a transaction has been committed, it will remain so, even in the event of errors, power loss, etc. See the diagram. It makes the performance fast because database is hit at the time of commit. In JDBC, connection interface provides methods to manage transaction. See the example of transaction management on your screen. You have make sure your transaction should be completed. Now let's see row set in JDBC. The instance of row set is the Java Bean component because it has properties and Java Bean notification mechanism. It is introduced since JDK 5. It is the wrapper of result set. It holds tabular data like result set, but it is easy and flexible to use. The implementation classes of row set interface are as follows: JDBC row set, cached row set, web row set, join row set, filtered row set. Let's see how to create and execute row set. Watch the example carefully. Hope you liked the session. We will learn about collection and reflection in our next session. We will have detailed discussion on the classes and interfaces of the collection and reflection framework. Till then, keep coding. Thank you.